There was important events last week that I'd like to talk about. The publication of the State Council's 24-point plan to improve foreign direct investment into China. China has committed to a 5% GDP growth rate for 2024. That comes on top of 5.2% in 2023. But the 5% this year is a much more challenging number for a couple of reasons. There are real headwinds that are going to affect the Chinese economy. And one is the economy itself globally is growing at a slower rate than it has been. The second is that you've got a number of countries that are taking a more protectionist view towards trade and are looking to do more in-house than they are in terms of directly with trade. So, and that's what I'd like to talk about today. So, if we start with the 24-point plan coming out of the State Council, there were a couple of very important points that it covered. The first was opening up a number of industries. So, the specific industries cited were manufacturing, high tech, banking, insurance, uh, etc. So that was, I think, an important step forward. The second is a very explicit statement that China is going to be much more assertive in terms of protecting intellectual property rights of foreign players. That's been a major concern of foreign players in the past, whether it's related to acquisitions and businesses in China or tied to trade. So that will, I think, provide a very positive signal to companies that they can work with China in a constructive way with more assurances around intellectual property. The third, what China wants and what other companies want, is engagement that ultimately leads to win-win solutions. Every company is different, so the only way to solve that is heavy engagement in a spirit of win-win. And that specifically is what the State Council is calling for, which is also encouraging. The other point they made is the need to get foreign players more actively involved in helping China build a much more robust capital market with a particular focus on a bond market. To the extent Chinese companies and foreign players are able to participate in the Chinese economy through investing in bonds is going to open up a new source of capital to get into China rather than relying on the stock markets. And then finally, there are going to be some process barriers that existed in the past that relate to getting licenses and getting approvals, etc. So there was going to be a specific effort to understand what those bottlenecks were and to take care of them. And then the final recommendation or change was much more open travel. For example, going from New York to Beijing, which used to be a straight shot that took 14 hours. Now it's always connecting flights. And it takes probably another 4 to 5 hours. So if you add all that list together from the State Council, it's broad, it's specific, it's real in terms of dealing with the things that I think that have concerned U.S. companies, and I think represents an important step forward.